Welcome to the Expedition of Hope. Written by L.L. Smith. Narrated by L.L. Smith. Chapter 1. Mission Statement. Voices bounced off the classroom walls. Mrs. Twitch adjusted her glasses and slammed her paper stack for the 7th consecutive time, making as much noise as possible as she attempted to recapture the attention of her students. The bun in her brown hair shifted this way and that as she frantically looked about the classroom. Finally, her brown eyes locked onto their target. They glared a moment through her thick frames. A particularly chatty boy sat near the front of her class. His wavy black hair rested just above his ears. He conducted 3 different conversations at once and twirled from one person to another with equal interest as he clasped his bony hands and rested his elbows on their desk. "Asher!" Miss Twitch shouted, this time loud enough to be heard. "Can you please inform the class what we've been going over for the last 5 minutes?" The 6'1" scrawny boy made one final twirl as his hazel eyes glared into her brown irises. He briefly brushed his fingers through his black waves as he searched for words. His once pale white face turned a perfect shade of red. "Sure, Miss Twitch." His lips moved, but they were only buying him time to muster the right words. "We were going over that stuff we just went over." He laid back and embraced the cackling he received from his classmates. Mrs. Twitch's face crunched with fury as she tapped her foot rapidly. Just before she could retaliate, the bell sounded and the kids rushed out of her classroom like ants after honey. Asher hurried through the hallway, attempting to catch up with his black-haired queen as she swayed her way past the lockers. Once his queen was spotted, he sped up to bump his jean jacket into her red dress. Their hands were locked before their eyes even met. His queen's red dress hugged the curves of her full hourglass body. Her purple lips added a certain glow to her caramel skin. As she sashayed through the halls with Asher in hand, her long curly black hair swayed back and forth, tickling her upper back. "Asher, you stir up trouble for Miss Twitch as usual?" his queen asked. Courtney. I can't lie. You know me too well. Asher, every day this year has been the same. You meet me in the hallway, and you tell me some story about how you harassed Miss Twitch your final period." Courtney removed some strands of her long black hair out of her glowing green eyes as she spoke. "You almost sound bored of that topic." Asher looked down at his Converse and then the gray jeans that were glued to his thighs, and then back up to Courtney. She met his look and said, "Yeah, after 4 months, it's kind of dull. So will you be at the launch celebration tonight?" Asher lost his gaze. Talk about repetitive topics. That celebration is the same thing every year. Just a bunch of old people making the same speeches they made the year before. It does have good food, though. I guess that's the one thing it's got. Courtney smiled as she listened to the exact response she had anticipated. "I figured you'd go since your dad is so involved with all that stuff." "Well, I figured that goes without saying. I really haven't got a choice. I have to go. What about you?" Asher hoped for an answer that would make his situation a little brighter. "Of course. The entire town will be there. Missing that is like announcing you're against all of this, which is also the best way to be ostracized from society." Neither of them said much as they reached the school's exit. "All right, Courtney. I'll be looking for you tonight." Courtney and Asher exchanged kisses before breaking their grip and parting ways. Just minutes after the end of school, 6 middle-aged men sat idle but tense at a large round table, nearly filling room 201 of Hope's capital. Each man held a cup of booze, vodka, scotch, whiskey, beer. The choices were personal, and all to deaden the fear. They had been there for over 30 minutes, and still no one had said a word. At last, one man took it upon himself to face the dreaded truth. "All right, I've had enough of this nonsense. Tom, what will you be saying at your speech today?" "Thank you, Delegate. I was beginning to worry this silence would last forever." He had developed wisdom through the years, along with a bald head and a gray and black mustache. The fingers he ran through his mustache were as pale as everyone's, to be expected when skin had not been exposed to real sunlight for over 72 years. "I'll be saying the very same thing I've said the past 7 years. I figured that shouldn't be a surprise." Tom replaced his cap and returned to his seat. He quickly scooted his chair back up to the desk. "Tom, for 7 years now, 7 years we've been lying to all these people. When will we finally tell them the truth?" A very irritated man spoke between gulps of his aged wine. "The truth can't come out. Not until things realign themselves. Telling the truth now will only cause absolute pandemonium. And at that point, we'd be getting nowhere. And that really isn't what we want." Tom defended his position with a steady firmness. "And what if things never align? Then what? Another irritated man slammed his glass against the table. In that case, I vote that the truth never comes out, at least never in our lifetime. Think about it. Do you want to live in a constant state of distress? Without a solution, that's all the truth will grant us. Tom spoke again. He rose from his chair one last time to plead his case. Look, I don't like lying. I'm not proud of this course of action. And in this situation, if the truth does come out, all the shit falls on me, do you understand? Every year for the past 7 years, we've had the same damn discussion, and we always come to the same conclusion. So, can we all just move on and jump to our conclusion? Tom dropped himself back into the seat with force, and then surveyed his audience for naysayers. Within moments, all the other men involved were fleeing the boardroom to embrace their regular lives. Before long, only 2 men remained, Captain Tom Massel and Don Harris, security chief and head of the captain's guard, which was CG for short. The 2 men spent a few moments drinking in silence. I sincerely hope that we're doing the right thing, Tom. Don spoke as he loosened his tie. I'm going to ask you something, Don. How long have we known each other? Tom turned to face Don. Since high school? That's right. We've known each other since high school. Since before your hair turned that ugly salt and pepper color, which, by the way, feels like eons ago. Tom tried to lighten the mood by dropping some jokes. Where are you going with this, Tom? All those other advisors, bureaucrats, and whatever else will squeal for the right price. Thankfully, that much is public knowledge, and nothing they say will be believed. You and I, though, the people trust us. They look up to us. You, perhaps more so than me, even. So, what I'm getting at is I need to trust that our truth will be safe with you. Tom took a long drink of his scotch. I trust you, Tom. And for better or for worse, your secret is safe with me. That's a promise. Don raised his glass, and they shared a toast to their friendship. So, how much fuel do we have left at this point? Not enough. Tom's hands shook as he addressed the real issue they faced. And the navigation systems? Don needed a full update. I'm afraid that not even all the king's horses and all the king's men will be putting that back together again. Janelle leaned on the counter of her greenhouse as she observed the multicolored plants that flooded the shelves that surround her. Her red nails pressed against her black forehead as she attempted to rub away a stress headache. Janelle's mundane routine was quickly interrupted by an unexpected stranger. Having been trapped in this town for all 47 of her living years, seeing a stranger was a non-existent occurrence. Perhaps even more bizarre was that her new guest was a very handsome man. He stood at a stocky 6'6" with broad shoulders and slicked black salt and pepper hair. Excuse me, can I help you? Janelle had to shout to her new guest as her cheeks burned. The man turned and his green eyes locked onto her brown eyes. Yes, actually. I'm sure there's something you can do for me. The man studied Janelle as he approached. He looked over the oversized plaid blouse she wore to hide her robust cleavage. Her black skin shone under the lamp just fixed above her head. Her red lips popped a smile as he approached. I'm sorry, this doesn't often happen to me, but I don't know who you are. Janelle leaned across the counter to get a closer look at her approaching stranger. Yeah, I suppose in a town as small as Hope, it's rare to see a new face. The man's pale white face met Janelle's smile. So what is it I can help you with, sir? Oh, please, call me Eddie. They got lost at each other's gaze a moment. I'm a sort of recruiter, you see. I'd like to invite you to attend our liberation meeting next Sunday. Eddie stood proudly as Janelle struck a curious expression. Liberation? Like the terrorist organization? Janelle kept her eyes fixed on Eddie's hands as they rested on her counter. His fingers were void of any jewelry. That is a popular misconception, thanks to the media. We are a non-violent movement committed to spreading knowledge to the people of Hope. Eddie's words were lost on Janelle, as her focus was elsewhere. You said next Saturday? Yes, ma'am. I'll be there, if you'll be there, that is. Janelle spoke with a wink. I will be, but I will have to have a representative of Liberation collect you next Saturday to take you to our undisclosed meeting place. That's so mysterious. Yes, due to the nature of our work and the media's misconceptions of that work, it's imperative that we keep our identities concealed along with our meeting places. Eddie flashed a quick smile to Janelle before turning to leave. So that's why I've never seen you before? Janelle called out to Eddie as he exited the greenhouse. Asher sprawled his lanky limbs on the couch, barely listening to the TV's blaring news story. The liberation movement strikes again. Generally, such a headline would have captivated him, but not tonight. On this night, Asher's mind was preoccupied with the thought of celebrating the very thing he despised, the only thing in this world he could muster words of hate towards. It was like this every year. The same escapable feeling of dread leached onto him. His dark cloud dispersed at the sound of Dawn walking into the front door. "Oh, hey, Dad," Asher casually murmured. Dawn looked at him, puzzled, for just a moment. "What are you doing over there? Haven't you got homework or something to do?" Dawn bent over and scoured through the contents of his fridge. In celebration of launch day, no one gave out homework. That had better be true. I swear, if I get one more phone call from Mrs. Twitch, I'll go deaf. Dawn grabbed a questionable cheeseburger from the fridge. "Now you know how I feel every day, Dad. The woman is out of control. I mean, it's not like I'm the only one who misbehaves in her class. That's no reason to misbehave. You should know better than that. How long do you think this cheeseburger has been in the fridge?" Don waved the wrapped burger in his hand with caution. "Dad, why are you eating now? Literally everyone lets you eat for free during the celebration because you're the captain's personal security officer, which I don't get because it's not like Tom's life has ever been in any danger. I also can't remember the last time our food ration had a hamburger in it, so I wouldn't eat that. Are you going to the celebration looking like that? Because if not, you'd better change. You have 20 minutes before we leave." Don sat down and glanced over at the TV. Liberation is really starting to ramp up their game. I'm going to have to tell Tom about this. Don buried his face into his hands as he listened to the news.